Welcome to the Interstate Mets Report with your hosts, Nelson and Chris.
What's up, everyone? It's another episode of the Interstate Mets Report. It's your boy CP here with my co-host Nelson. Just a little bit of a disclaimer before we continue on with today's conversation. We did not go live last week. We figured we'd take the week off and regroup, come back fresh, come back on Tuesday with a fresh set of guests. I'm so excited for today's stream. It's going to be awesome. We have some fellow Mets content creators joining us. But first off, Nelson, it's Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. How are you doing today?
Tired. I got like no sleep last night, but I'm here ready to talk about whatever it is we're talking about. And
absolutely,
I just can't wait till baseball actually starts because I'm just done with all the BS. I want games to watch.
Absolutely. We are all in the same boat as you. Obviously, most recently, pitchers and catchers have been reporting, but I want to shout out the chat here just before we get started. We got Darren in the chat saying LFGM, AP. I guess he's alluding to our little bit of tardiness. We apologize, AP, but we did mean Eastern time. We did mean Eastern time. We got That's My Sports. WFAN needs more content creators for the Mets who know how to ask real questions. Yes, we will get into that a little
bit. Right here, WFAN.
Interstate After Dark. Shout out, That's My Sports. But we are going to bring up our guest here. We are so excited to have him. Please enjoy this little jingle as we do so. Let's go, Mets. We got Ibby in the chat. Ibby, how are you doing today, my friend?
CP Nelson, what is up, guys? It's great to be here. I know we were just talking about it when we were off air about how my difficulty when it comes to locking down a schedule is kind of put this on hold for a while, but I'm very excited to finally be on the interstate, talk a little bit of Mets. And I said it before and I'll say it again. I love and always crack up at Nelson's bluntness. So the fact that I already got it before the show even really gets kicked off makes me very happy, and I'm very pumped up to talk some Mets and have a good show. Let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you on. Thank you so much. For those of y'all who don't know, in the live chat, and if you don't subscribe to the Till Mets Do Us Part podcast, make sure you find them at Till Mets Do Us Part. You guys are also, I think, same handle on X, but we do have your link to your YouTube in the description down below. So aside from subscribing to all our channels, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up, not only on our videos, but also to y'all's videos. You do a great job live every Wednesday, going live tomorrow. Check them out. Thank you so much for doing this. And I apologize. I'm fumbling a little bit with these graphics. It's always hard to bring up guests and sort of work the StreamYard background. So bear with me in the chat. We got a lot to talk about, and we are glad you're here. So thank you so much. Like I said, subscribe to everyone's channels. Hit that thumbs up on all the streams, Nelson and I streams. You know where to find us, the Interstate Mets crew on YouTube. But let's get into it, gentlemen. We have a full slate of topics. I know we got you for another about 40 minutes, Ibby, and we're going to breeze through these topics. We got a lot to talk about today. And first, we're going to start off with your thoughts and the panel's thoughts on the David Stearns presser that we saw just a few days ago and sort of the takeaways that we heard from his answers, right? Whether it's third base, whether it's the health of Starling Marte. Starting off with you, what was your overall takeaway of this presser? Just some main points, especially as it pertains for what I thought was the most interesting aspect, the David Stearns answer on the third base competition situation.
I mean, I've been echoing this, and I want to keep on echoing it when it comes to David Stearns. Every time he's spoken to this point, the mini pressers, this one, the awkwardness with Martino and his wrinkled shirt, everything that came with all those things, I feel as though, and I think a lot of Mets fans appreciate this, it never comes off like the guy's lying. And to this point, he hasn't lied about anything. Everything he said, now Mets fans choose to hear what they want to hear, but everything he has said to this point has been spot on, and it's been what he's gone out and actually done this offseason. So, I thought a lot of the stuff was similar to what we've heard up until this point, but I would also say that, the things that were said when it came to third base are in line with what I thought was going to happen. We're going to see who the best player is amongst the two between Beatty and Vientos. The health of Marte is obviously key. And I'm sure we'll talk about it at one point, but I don't know about you guys, but for me, I am beyond tired of the Alonso discourse. I know it's going to keep on happening because this is New York and this is what it's always going to be a talking point because it's interesting and it causes clicks for positivity or negativity, whatever it may be. But other than that, I thought, again, hasn't lied to us, has been spot on. I appreciate his knowledge. I know Tone's in the chat. I know he was there for the Q&A and talked about the intelligence that comes across with Stearns. And I'm just happy to finally have someone that has a plan. I've always wanted a plan for this team, and this person seems to finally have one, and it's what this team needs to be put back on the right track.
Absolutely. Nelson, what you got?
Full disclosure, I already admitted this to you guys. I did not watch a lick of this press conference. I just got bits and pieces from Twitter and what have you. Listen, I mean, I love Stearns. Don't get me wrong. The guy says pretty much the same thing every time he's out there. It's not like he's giving us anything brand new. I also have tons of confidence. I love that he does have a plan, like you said, Ibby. But as much as this is fun and the start of spring training is new and exciting, I am one that I get a little, I don't know what the right word is. It's just like people like read into every press conference and every media availability. And it's like, guys, we're going to be doing this for a month and they're going to be talking like Mendoza's probably going to be talking like every day, every other day. Stearns is probably going to be meeting with people once a week. We don't have to dissect every single word they say. Like, I get it. We need something to talk about. But as far as the third base competition, listen, I don't know how much I buy that. I mean, he hasn't lied yet, but I don't see Mark Vientos as a third baseman. I just don't. I see him as a DH. I don't know. Maybe all of the work he's done. I mean, we've all seen the videos. Maybe that really has improved his defense. I don't see it, but hey, I'm glad to be proven wrong. And let's face it, Brett Beatty wasn't the strongest defender last year either, and he also didn't hit worth a lick. So if it is a competition, hey, fine, dandy, I'm with it. I know our boy Tone will still probably be hammering the idea that Matt Chapman is still out there and ready to be signed. Yeah, I mean, I'm good with it. Whatever. Listen, these guys know better than us, right? I mean, let's be honest. So if he thinks that Vientos can be our third baseman, then Jesus, take the wheel and let's see what happens with Vientos at third base in the spring.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I give my take on that, because I do have a strong opinion about it, we've been saying all of these things about the third base situation here on the Interstate Mets Report. And I know you all have been saying it on the Till Mets Do Us Part podcast. But shout out everyone in the chat. Shout out Armand. Stearns presser was better than today's Carlos Mendoza presser. Absolutely, guys. Side note before we continue to talk about David Stearns presser. Nelson, I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch this one. Maybe I'm sure you did. That was bad. On all fronts in terms of the journalism aspect, not even what Carlos Mendoza said. He knocked out of the ballpark with those awkward questions. The journalism perspective of today's presser was embarrassing for everyone asking questions. I mean, at one point, he got asked if he shares the same passion as Mets fans to want to win. I mean, come on, what are we doing here?
You should have said no.
Right.
I wish he did say no. No, I'm just here for the money. I wish he said that. Total heel turn.
That would have been so hilarious. Like, no,
absurd.
No.
It is absurd.
I'm here because they paid me the most and they were willing to give me a job.
Yeah, it's absurd. God. We got Dishlaun here saying Amish. You are an icon, apparently, Amish. We got Mike in the chat here as well.
Wait. It is Interstate After Dark. I know we usually frown upon going R-rated. Under my post for the live today, the very first comment was see my pussy in bio. So, I don't know.
Those bots are out of control, dude. Those
The
bots are out of
bots are,
control.
Oh my
but
god.
appreciate it, Dishlau.
Oh my
Shout
god.
out Lane. Shout out Lane tuning into the stream. Shout out Grant as well tuning into the stream here as well. Who's this guy, Ibby? He says. Who is Ibby?
You know who I am, Grant. Don't be playing with me like that. You know who I am. You too,
Stevie Mac saying
Stevie.
the same thing. We got two of them. They don't know who you are.
Stevie, I
And we
send you memes every day. What are you talking about? Come on.
Acknowledge him.
Absolutely. But no, like you said, going back on to the conversation at Stern's presser, like it was a situation where he's giving these corporate answers. We know exactly what he's going to say. But I think the consensus here, and we've been saying it for so long, right? We see a lot of LOL Metsing or David Stearns is not opening up the checkbook. He's small market Stearns. He is the man with the plan. And Ibby, and I know we've talked about this. We've said it here on the Interstate Mets Report. I'm wondering what your thought is. When will you actually be comfortable in terms of grading David Stearns? And we could talk about this offseason. We will talk about this offseason in a nutshell in terms of the addition. But obviously, we have to let this thing play out, right? We can't rush to grading David Stearns after just one offseason.
No, it's impossible to do that. I hate that a lot of Mets fans do that, mainly because I said it from the jump. I said the moment Steve Cohen came in, around one of our first handful of episodes, I said Mets fans need to understand that they are not going to have $20 million players at every single position. That's not how you build a team. You have to have smart people spending money wisely so that when you have money like this, you can then act as the closer. Thank you, Armand. You can then act as the closer when you need something. And I always use the Dodgers as the example because they are the prime example. They build their entire farm. They filter and shuttle in talent nonstop. And when the time comes, they can make a deal for Mookie Betts and then sign him. They can then go after and get Freddie Freeman. They can then go out and get Shohei Ohtani. They can go and get Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Like they can do these things because they have constant talent, cheap talent around them, and then they can continuously play that roller coaster with the overall tax. So when it comes to an actual grade, I'm not giving a grade for this offseason. I'm not. I won't do it because I don't think there's a point. And the reason is it's going to take more time, like you just said, CP. And I feel that my true judgment of David Stearns will come probably at the deadline, depending on where this team is and how he handles that. I'll give a grade there and an honest and true reaction there. And then going into next offseason, how they go about with money coming off of the books, the tax becoming lower, not being hamstrung in that sense. And then what ends up happening with Pete Alonso? Do they go after Juan Soto? Do they go after Corbin Burns? Like all these different types of names that could be out there. That's when I'll truly sink my teeth into an overall grade of what he is as a executive, because I know a lot of people were wanting so much this offseason, but to be honest, in my opinion, at least, I didn't think there was much out there this offseason outside of Yamamoto. And once Yamamoto went, I was like, I don't really want anything.
No, absolutely. I agree with you, especially at this certain price points that we've been seeing. Now, there is something to be said about the markets, like kind of switching up here. You see Soler just signed, right? At this juncture of the offseason, which is really weird. Cody Bellinger's still in the market. JD Martinez is still in the market. And we got a lot of weirdness going on this offseason, to be honest with you. But like you said, really, were they going to break the bank this offseason on anybody not named Yoshinobu Yamamoto? And at first, going into this offseason with the state of the Mets and how the team performed in 2023, I had very high expectations. But obviously, needed to temper them down a little bit. And I hold myself accountable to that. But like you said, he's the man with the plan. As it pertains to this third base situation, I've said it all along, and I'm kind of agreeing with Nelson here, is that I don't see Mark Vientos taking bulk reps away at third base from Brett Baty. Now, as bad as a fielder that Brett Baty proved himself to be in 2023, I think the upside is still there with the glove more so than Vientos. Vientos, just strictly looking at the footwork of, his display at third base, I'm not necessarily sure offseason with Lindor is going to fix that. But nonetheless, I like all of the sort of media attention that he's been getting. They're propping him up. They're making it obvious to Mets fans that this is going to be our guy, and he's working diligently to prove everybody wrong that he is that guy. So 2024 awaits him, and we will see. But yeah, I don't think David Stearns really said anything else groundbreaking in this presser. Marte's healthy. He alluded to that. He alluded to the fact that there's going to be a lot more competition for that last bench spot. DJ Stewart is not guaranteed that last bench spot. I know a lot of people like to say that, it's going to be DJ Stewart, but there's a couple other names out there that might float in there. And DJ Stewart, like I said, we're not even guaranteed to see a 4-man bench to begin with. So that's a whole different topic within itself. Other than what we have on our screen, anything else that's really groundbreaking that you took away from this presser, Ibby?
Not really. Again, obviously the Marte stuff. Again, we're all just hoping the same way that Stearns is hoping that what he saw during the Dominican League is something that can be sustainable in terms of him just staying healthy. And I've said this before, I'm sure you guys can agree that the 2022 run for Marte, I always felt that he was the engine for that team because he was always on base. He was always putting the ball in play. He was always doing something of merit when the team was winning games. And when you lost that last year, I think you really saw how much he meant to the team the year prior. So having him healthy is a big deal. Again, coming into this offseason, and I'll still hold true with this, I still am very worried about Starling Marte. I'm not banking on anything when it comes to Starling Marte. Like, I'm not saying, I expect him to bat 275 with 15 to 18 home runs and 70 yards. Like, I can't even do that. Like, I think the Steamer projections were very, very mild and modest. Like, nothing that great in terms of his overall projectional output. But I'm hoping he can at least stay healthy. And, other than that, I don't think there's much to take out of the Stearns presser. Like I said, the Alonso stuff and Boris, all that, it's like, it's the same stuff that you should understand. And I don't understand why Mets fans still don't understand that this mirrors exactly what was going on with Brandon Nimmo. And we saw what happened with Nimmo. So I don't know why there is this huge disconnect between fans, between reporters, and people saying, you got to trade him if you're not going to sign him. And this, it's like, we literally just went through this with a Boris-led client and Brandon Nimmo, who was the number two bat on the market behind Judge. And one could argue coming up, unless I'm missing someone, that behind Soto, Alonso would be the number 2 bat on the market. So it's like you know what you're going into, you know what you're going up against, and it's the first base market. So again, like, I think it's smart. I know people don't want to hear that, but I think it's smart to say to Pete, hey, go ahead. Because no first baseman has been able to go out there and break the bank. And I understand years change, guys get paid, things go up, it fluctuates. I understand all of that. But people are still very weird. Owners are still very weird when it comes to the the first base market, especially for a guy that's going to be 30 years old. So I don't think they're playing this the wrong way. And again, if it comes down to the money or the years, they can tack it on, just like they did with Nimmo to close the deal. Nobody thought Brandon Nimmo was getting 8 years and 162. Nobody did. But they did it to close the deal. I expect the same thing to happen here with Pete Alonso. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Coupled to the fact that you also have other first basemen on the market that are hitting the open market with Pete Alonso. You talk about Paul Goldschmidt, Anthony Rizzo, and Christian Walker, who is an absolute stud within his own rights. Yeah. That might also play into consideration and a factor into those negotiations. Now, like I said, we got about floating between 25 and 30 people in the chat right now watching this. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe to everybody's channel in the description down below. This is streaming to both Nelson and I's platforms. Make sure you subscribe to Till Mets Do Us Part and their shows. They do a great job. And honestly, we're going to have John up here at some point as well alongside you, Ibby, because you guys do just a phenomenal job. It's always a great listen. So shout out everybody in the chat. Everyone's giving their opinions. There's a lot of comments flowing through. Keep them coming. We'll be propping some up. But as that Pete Alonso sort of talk commences, I want to transition into this next topic and sort of a different sort of outlook with an extension. We heard earlier on this offseason that there was some interest in terms of the standpoint of Francisco Alvarez and his camp being open to an early contract extension with the New York Mets if the Mets were willing to approach him in doing so. We've seen this tactic deployed throughout the entire league. We've seen it with the NL East rivals, Atlanta Braves, Michael Harris, Spencer Strider, Ozzy Albies, Ronald Acuna, getting them on very team-friendly deals. We've seen it most recently with Jackson Chirios over there in Milwaukee. Hasn't even stepped foot on an MLB diamond and has a brand new long-term contract. That's
Colt
an
Keith,
insane
another one
within its own right. And then Bobby Witt Jr. most recently, right?
Yeah.
So my question is here. Francisco Alvarez has 2 more years of pre-arbitration left before he's arbitration eligible, and he has 3 years of service time accumulated. The Mets can forego all of that and just say, hey, listen, we want you. You are a franchise catcher. We don't want to play around here. And that would benefit not only Francisco Alvarez in terms of getting that protection, but also it would mitigate any sort of, I guess, extra money, premier money that Francisco Alvarez might demand in a very weak catching market, to be honest with you. Only 2 catchers right now getting paid in excess of $20 million, but also getting ahead of that inevitable Adley Rutschman extension that might set that market or reset it after JT Realmuto. Now, I'm not saying that Francisco Alvarez is Adley Rutschman just yet. There's a 4-year age gap, but that also does play into the potential projection of what Alvarez can become. What are your initial thoughts about foregoing all this arbitration, all this pre-arbitration, and just saying, hey, Alvarez, we got you. We want you. Here's the contract. What do you think?
I would say that I've been wanting the Mets to be more aggressive in this area for a long time. I think if we did this a while ago, we wouldn't have to be worrying about Pete Alonso, but we didn't go about it that way. And this team has done that for the longest time. I'm all about extending our young players and give them an opportunity and giving them an opportunity to see the money earlier, like we've seen other teams do. I think there was at one point, it might have been asked Stearns a while back, talking about this idea that was floated, and I think he said something along the lines of just wanting to see the player a little bit more, something along those lines. And when I hear that, I think I don't blame him, because again, it's his first year there. He wants to see everything. This would be Alvarez's first start to a season, being here the entire time, obviously health pending, what have you. Obviously, we want to see him healthy the whole season. But I think the idea is still very much there, even beyond this season. So if he goes out this year, say he goes out and he reaches the projections that he has, say he goes out and he bats 250, he hits 20 plus home runs, he drives in 70 guys, like, you're still having a conversation next offseason where you can go, okay, we want to extend you and give you 6 years. We want to give you 6 years, $90 million, or whatever it is. And it's life-changing money for him at that age, avoiding arbitration. These things can still happen. I think a lot of Mets fans would like it to happen now because they weren't given that much this offseason. So it's like, here's a cookie for you. Like, we're thinking of you. Like, we still have plans, and he's part of these plans. I think Stearns still has that in mind, as it should be, because if he shows out this year, you could say, okay, this guy's legit. We're going to move forward. But I think he wants to see a little bit more. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. And again, it's about spending money properly. You could offer him, again, $90 million, $100 million right now if you wanted to. Or you could say, okay, we're going to wait. Show me you can do this again. Show me you can handle the rigors of a long season, being here from the start, and then we'll show you the money. And he does that, he's still going to get paid. So I think no matter what, they're going to be in a good spot. I understand why Mets fans want it to happen now, but I also understand why Stearns is saying, give it one more season.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great answer. Nelson, what you got on this topic? Because this is a very interesting one. And like I said, maybe that's a great point with the consolation prize of this offseason being relatively quiet. What do you got, Nelson?
Yeah, I'm not in the business of placating Mets fans that cry over every little thing. So I don't care if the Mets fans want Alvarez signed or not. Would I hope it happens? Sure. But like Ibby said, it's not something that has to happen right now. We still got a couple years. Waiting a year to see what he does in a full year is probably actually a smart move, rather than jumping the gun and throwing him a bag, and who the hell knows what happens. You never know. This team is snake bait. It could be an injury. It could be God knows what. So playing it safe is fine by me. Doesn't mean it can't happen. I would love to see us be more aggressive with not just Alvarez, but other guys. in the future in signing extensions. So far, that hasn't been a philosophy the Mets franchise has held, but I don't know. Maybe Stearns thinks differently in that regard. I would hope that he does, but I'm not worried about it. Like it's not something that I think is something to freak out about if it doesn't happen. And it's kind of with the same with the Alonso thing. Like the reason Mets fans, I'll be honest, a lot of Mets fans freak out about that is they spend too much time listening to WFAN instead of listening to guys like us. Like they listen to these clowns on the radio just spout nonsense. And you don't, if you really look at the big picture, if Alonso goes to free agency, is that the worst thing in the world? I really don't think so.
No.
At the end of the day, we're still going to be in a position to offer him the most if we want. And yeah, let it play out. Like at this point, it sounds like from this press conference, that's not going to happen this year either. An extension there. So yeah, man, it's just we gotta be more patient with these things. Like everybody just wants instant gratification and things to happen right now. There's plenty of time. We don't have to jump the gun on these moves. It'll if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. So I mean, I'd love to see the guy. My last name is Alvarez. I'd love to see the guy be the Met forever. As far as I'm concerned, it's great for me because I can buy all his merch and no matter what, I can still wear it regardless if he flames out or not. No, but I love the kid. I think he's going to be great. If we sign him to an extension, I'd be ecstatic, but it's not something we need to like freak out about if it doesn't happen. Let him play out the year. Hopefully he has a great one and hopefully, hey, he makes himself even a little more money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you. That's I'm sorry, I'm just browsing the chat here. I agree with you. Like I said, I'm just in the camp of, like I said, I don't want to rush into it if that's what the front office doesn't deem necessary, but I am in the boat of saying, hey, listen, how many times does a catcher like this come around? And the other advantage of it not only is getting ahead of Rutschman's contract, and that's what Tone is here saying. He's saying facts. Rutschman is get an insane contract once the new ownership kicks in. Lifelong Oriole. If Alvarez has a solid second year, give him the bag till, let's say he's 34. He's only 22 right now. I'm not sure I'm going to give him a 12-year extension, but you also get ahead of it because we know the catcher position takes a very big toll on the body, right? If you say you sign him to an 8 to 10-year deal right now, you get him off the books when he's like 32, 33 years old, and that protects the Mets in that sense, but it also allows Alvarez to go out there on the open market and get an extra sort of contract before his career is over. Now, I know we're talking about 20 years down the road, and this is just strategy at this point, and I know this is probably a premature conversation, but we like to have fun on February 13th, right? The offseason has been slow. Season's picking up. We like to have these discussions. So it's very interesting to see how this is going to play out. But everything is indicating the fact that you are right. And what Armand is saying here, that, you know, he had a little bit of a slow second half. To your point, Ebby, can he do this over the course of 162 consistently on both sides of the ball? Now, he impressed me a lot, not only offensively with the home runs and the power. I know the average tapered off, the OPS tapered off, but the way he handled that staff. And he went out there, you look at his Baseball Savant page, 95th percentile in framing, something that a lot of scouts said he was going to struggle with. The blocking and the pop time could definitely improve, understood, but albeit he did pretty well defensively. So I'm excited about Alvarez's future. There are some things that he does need to clean up, right? His chasing. He chases a lot of outside pitches, a lot of high pitches. Still has a little bit of a long swing. Maybe not as long as Mark Vientos is, but long, albeit. So I'm excited. And this kid's a workhorse.
Yeah, year two is always a big thing, especially for rookies, because, again, you see the second half, a little bit more tapes out on you. They see how they can attack you. Year two, same thing, how they go about looking at you and how they go about pitching to you. And obviously wherever his places in the lineup as well. Like, this is why Stearns looks at this and goes, I have to be patient, to what Nelson was just saying. And something that I'm going to continue to push is patience within this Mets community, which is Yeah, look, I get it falls on deaf ears, but I think that, patience over panic is the viewpoint that should really start taking more center stage, if you will. Be a little more patient. Let's see what he does throughout an entire 162, and hopefully he's here for the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carson is chiming into the chat here. Make sure you go and check out Mets Weekly. He is saying $8 for $85 million is what he would go for Francisco Alvarez. I'm assuming right now, maybe not after year 2, maybe right now to get ahead of it. But Carson, let us know in the chat when the timetable too, because that is an important factor here of when it would be, whether it's before the season starts or obviously after year 2. So let's see here. Steve is saying, Nelson, are you trying to say that Salacrapa isn't reputable? Your favorite person, Nelson? You're on mute, buddy.
Like, I thought he was just not saying anything.
Between Salacrapa and that bum co-host of his, Brandon Tierney, I really don't. I haven't listened to WFAN in years, but I see the bull crap that's posted on X. Those two both. Neither one of them deserve a job. Any Mets content creator on YouTube, on whatever platform, I feel could do a better job than those two bozos. And I'll leave it at that.
Giving bald men a bad name. As a bald man, it makes me very upset. Tired of it.
Hey, listen, the only bald man. Actually, there's a lot of bald guys here on the Mets within the Mets content creation community that we love to listen to. Salacrapa definitely is not one of them. And it's a pain to sort of watch him on SNY when he gets that opportunity. And it's just like, I don't like to tune in. I'm sorry. But Armand's saying the same thing. He stopped tuning in and listening to WFAN. Rich is in the chat saying, hey, guys, great show. I appreciate it, guys. I hope you all are enjoying. We got some great content continuing to come your way. We're going to bring up our next guest in about 7 to 8 minutes as we roll along in this show. We got a lot of topics here for you all. We're going to continue to truck along. And I know we got about 10 to 12 minutes out of you, Ibby, so I appreciate you. Whenever you got to go, just let us know. We won't be offended.
Yeah.
But we don't want to keep you for too long. But anyways, this is a lot of fun. Glad that – hey, listen, I threw something in the chat earlier. I want to get something together on a little side note here before we get into the next topic. A little bit of a Mets content creation community, little marathon live stream right before opening day. Whoever is listening, if you do Mets content, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter at CPNY Sports. I want to get that together. I don't think we've ever seen something like that before. It might be fun. So if anyone wants to co-host it with me, would be awesome. Would be awesome to get everyone up here. Tone, Shay and Sons, obviously here, you gentlemen. It'd be fun. What do you think?
I think it'd be a fun time. I mean, we had the opportunity, and Carson's here. We did the trade deadline with him, and we were on for like 5.5 hours. We were just riffing and just going back and forth. So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, absolutely. If it comes about, I'm about it. I would definitely do it.
Hell yeah. Let's do it. But yeah, going on to the topics here. Like I said, we want. There's M Easy. What do you got to say, Nelson?
I need to address this freaking pain in my ass. I just don't like you. I don't like you. I wish you would go away. You're like a thorn in my side. Like, so you drive me crazy. But hey, that's what WFAN has producers for, right? They just weed guys like you out if they want to. But I didn't say I wanted to be on WFAN. I said any of these other guys could gladly do way better of a job than Salacrapa and freaking.
And if there's anything I would say, just to hop in real quick for M Easy, I mean, I don't think that Sal can handle the venom either, because he's always complaining, he's always screaming at people. He thinks that he's the professional, that he's the expert, so he yells at people nonstop. He blocks everybody on Twitter. So if anyone can't handle the venom, I don't think that Sal can. I think he's soft.
Yeah.
Breaking up there, CP. Are you on mute?
Are you unmuted?
We didn't hear any of that, bro.
I didn't hear any of that. Let's try it again. I think you're muted now.
Now you're muted.
Now you're muted. Now
can you hear me now?
I got you.
There we go.
technical difficulties on the stream. I apologize. But I want to say, I appreciate MAZ, even if he does keep me honest. Like, you tune into the streams. We appreciate you. Everybody's opinion is welcome. But yeah, that little rivalry that we got.
I'm not as nice as CP. I'm gonna be real. You can watch. I don't mind if you watch. You just drive me crazy. It is what it is.
And easy. If you want to come on over to the Till Mets Do Us Part stream on Wednesdays at 5:30, if you're available, I'm sure my co-host will have a lot of fun with you as well.
Moving on. We got Mr. Keefe in the house saying, Ibby. What up, Keefe?
What's up, Keefe? Good to see you, man.
We appreciate you. Chris Torres is also in the chat saying we're winning the World Series. LFGM. I love the confidence in Armand. Yes, I know I was muted. My mic has been muted recently, so bear with me. I apologize. All right, moving into the next topic here as we roll along into this episode 40. It's already been 40 episodes of the Interstate Mets Report back when we first started this in June between Nelson and I. Can't believe it. Keys to the 2024 season. You see the New York Mets additions here this offseason. I would probably say headlined by Luis Severino. I'm not sure if people agree with me or not, but I think that he has the potential to probably be the best acquisition of the offseason for the New York Mets with his upside. Still in the prime of his career. I know he's coming off of a 6.85 ERA with the Yankees, but the sample size with him in recent history has been there. So anything that you see on your screen here, I have the little laughing emoji next to Ben Gamel. I don't really plan to talk about this too much. I've talked about pretty much anybody and everybody that the Mets have picked up this offseason. Ben Gamel's not going to be one of those names, especially not on February 13th. So what you got for me, Ebby? Keys to a successful Mets 2024 season? Maybe if you got two keys for us and a little bit more about these additions that you see on your screen here.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, for a lot of people, it's not the ideal offseason that they pictured in their heads. It's a lot of smaller names, but again, it's players that serve a purpose, and when you sign people, there should be purpose to it. And I think it was Carson and the Mets Weekly crew that were talking about this when you comp especially the bullpen with these additions that Stearns made. It seemed as though that there was purpose behind each person and what they provide. Different looks, velocity was added. It wasn't just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what would stick, which is what essentially Billy Epler did. So knowing that there's that type of process that has gone into this and trusting that David Stearns can build what he built in Milwaukee because he found pitchers, he built great bullpens. The idea is he could do that here as well. So when I look at the additions and things that are going to be the keys to a successful Mets season, or even the keys to a successful deadline to get to the deadline to then make a move to maybe push this team even further, it comes down to the pitching. So when you mention names like Severino and Manaea, like those are guys that obviously need to provide for this team. If they provide the innings, I've been preaching and talking about innings nonstop on our show, on Twitter, the need for this team. Few and far last year for 2023 did this team get strong pitching. Everyone attacks the offense. Everyone bitches about the offense. But when you look at when this team actually was able to pitch in the short stints that it had, a 7-game stretch, a 10-game stretch, whatever it may have been, there were times where the offense was plentiful and the pitching was rolling and this team was winning games. You didn't see it much because the team stunk overall, but when the pitching and you get the innings, you don't have to worry about overtaxing a bullpen. If they get the innings from the likes of Severino and Manaea, and I think Hauser can be that guy that provides much needed innings in a tight spot, 5, 6, I think he can do that as a back end guy. But if those guys thrive and provide those innings, and of course we're assuming that Senga and Quintana are healthy, they're doing their job. You allow the bullpen to fall back into place. You have Diaz back there, so everyone else doesn't have as much pressure on them, so they can fall into the spot that they're supposed to be. You take Drew Smith out of high leverage. You plug in Adam Ottavino into proper spots and not higher leverage. Like, there are ways where this works. It comes down to the pitching, though, and that's what the focus obviously is with these additions that we've seen. If the pitching can provide the innings, it takes the pressure off of the bullpen, and I think the offense can do enough to get to the deadline where then you can add to whatever area you need. If third base isn't working, you can find a third baseman. If you need another arm, you can go out and you can find it, and it gives Stearns some time to see what he has in the farm to see what he's then able to say, okay, I'm comfortable dealing this away. That's how I would look about how this team can be successful. I won't even go the full season. I will say successful to the deadline to then add on more to see if you can finish out the season strong.
Boom. That's a perfect take because honestly, our buddy Talking Mets with Rob does great stuff. Mets Hot Stuff Lives. Go check him out. He's been saying that and preaching that to the choir, and he's been absolutely correct in all those takes. And that's exactly what you're saying here, Ibby, as well. I love that. I've been also saying it. I think that is the consensus here. It is wait to see what we have at the deadline, then make a decision. We're not sitting here, going and looking at the second half, right? We need to get to that deadline because it could go either way. We could hit a fork in the road here and say we could be sellers or we could be buyers, depending on the record. But there's going to be a lot of moving parts, especially in season, especially at that deadline. Nelson, key additions, your favorite names on here. Maybe you knocked it out of the ballpark here. You knocked it out. That was awesome. Luis Severino. By the way, Ibby, I'm not sure if you took a look at Luis Severino's projections, fan graphs. They actually have him at 26 games started, 137 innings, which would be phenomenal.
I would take that in a heartbeat.
Would be phenomenal. Yeah, absolutely. Nelson, what you got?
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys are sleeping on Joey Wendell and Ben Gamble and the impact that they will have on this baseball team. There are no more high impact signings than those two. No, I mean, seriously though, it's health, man. It's always with the Mets. It's always health. Can we stay healthy enough to survive? Last year, we were dead from the start. We lost Diaz in the beginning. We lost Scherzer. We lost Verlander. It was just nonstop injuries after injuries. Can these guys stay healthy? Can Severino stay healthy and be the Severino of old and not whatever the heck that abomination was last year? Can Sean Manaea continue his progression that he showed at the end of last year? Hauser pretty much is what he is. He's been pretty consistent in being a back of the rotation arm that gets you innings, and he's nothing special. He pitches to a low 4 ERA. If he can do what he does, that's fine. And then those bullpen arms, man, you just got to hit on some of them, right? Stearns built a bullpen on just a lot of hopes and prayers. Let's be honest. I mean, there's upside to be sure, but they can easily be horrible again, or they could find something and we can have a very solid bullpen. The offense, I think, will be okay. I would have loved to add another bat. Obviously, it didn't happen. I mean, I guess that's JD Martinez's dream is still alive. He hasn't signed yet. Outside of that, Marte,
I don't
obviously,
think we're getting him, though. Nelson,
Yeah,
you think we're
probably
getting him, JD Martinez?
I don't think so, but
I don't think so.
the dream isn't
I
dead
don't know who it is, but
until he signs somewhere else, right? But
Sure.
Marte, Ibby said it earlier. If Marte can give us any semblance of what he did in 2022, then that changes the dynamic of this team, because the man was, for the most part, the heart and soul of that lineup in 2022. Like we saw when he got hurt in that September, the offense went in the tank and the team went in the tank. And we saw last year with him hurt. Granted, there was other injuries, but the lineup wasn't the same. Like he really is a difference maker. The problem is, can we really rely on him to be healthy? I really don't think so. But if somehow he finds the fountain of youth and he gets a little bit of that spark back and can be a catalyst up there in the 2-hole, if that's where they decide to put him, then that changes the dynamic of this team a ton. So I've said it in videos past, and I said it in here on the show. This team is a lot of, we got to hope for the best, right? There isn't, I don't think this is a horrible baseball team. I think if things break right, this can be a pretty solid baseball team. And like Ibby said, we just got to get to the deadline, right? We got to be above water around the deadline, because we can add. We're in a position to add pieces. We have the prospects to add pieces, but we have to be good enough to add pieces. If not, we'll see another sell-off like we did last year, and that would suck. But I have faith that some of these guys are going to pan out and be better than a lot of people expect. I really do think Severino can bounce back, and if he does anything close to those projections, I'd be very happy with that.
This team bottomed out with what? And they ended up having mid-70s wins this like I think people think that this team is a lot worse than it is, and I don't think it can get worse than what last year was, mainly because I think you were a much older team that was caught up in its own ways and its own routines. When you have a very veteran-laden team, I think by injecting youth, it's going to go a long way. Not as much pressure on this team, not as much as expected, which is why I think they can fly under the radar and just go out and play baseball as opposed to worrying about everything else. That's why I'm really excited about the season coming up, because I've said it multiple times on the show. Like, look, the talent isn't the same, but I look to places like Cincinnati, to Baltimore, to Arizona that has a lot of youth. And, when I see things like that, it allows teams to, have, play an exciting brand of baseball. And I think we're going to have a much better time watching this team this year than we did last year. It was taxing last year. It was a chore last year. We do it because we love it. But at the same time, you can also be honest with yourself and say you didn't really have that great of a time watching it. I think it's going to change this year.
Guys, I do have Mike, doesn't follow me on X, but is it under my mentions on X, saying the addition of Luis Severino as the biggest addition this offseason is big sad. So, Mike, if you're tuning in live on X, I just want to tell you, when Luis Severino has a very nice bounce back season and we strike gold with him and he's a re-sign candidate, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to bookmark it. Also, bookmark it. That's what I'm going to do. Lastly, here, before we bring up our next guest, I know we want a couple minutes between guests here to sort of get us all on the screen, a quad screen. He's been waiting patiently. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. This bullpen, too. This is the last topic before we take a little intermission here for a couple seconds and bring him up. The bullpen, a lot of flexibility. Love the Fujinami signing. Obviously a project. Didn't have the numbers last season, but has the stuff. Love the Diekman signing for the sole fact that he also has electric stuff, but you pair him with Brooks Raley and you have a nice little left-right sort of combination that you can deploy from the 5th or 6th inning on if you're Carlos Mendoza, who's in his rookie season of managing and will need all the tools that he can get in that bullpen, not named Drew Smith. So that's awesome. But without further ado, guys, I'm going to bring up our next guest. We'll have a little bit of a conversation. We're going to get into our buy or sell segment, and I want to get all your guys' opinions on these topics. So let's bring them up, take a little bit of intermission. We'll be right back. All right. We got our guy, Tone, Baseball Tone from the Mets Trucker Podcast. How are you, Tone?
Time to leave.
Oh, it'd be damn, man. Why did you? Yo, I've been waiting for this moment to be side by side with you instead of you and John. I get jealous, and this is what you say. You gotta go. Oh,
no, I even said to CP and Nelson before we even got on, I go, look, I know I got to leave at a certain time, but I also said I am not leaving here until I got Tone on screen. And we could talk for a little bit because I know I've been waiting to do it. We've been talking a lot through DM, on Twitter, listening to you guys on Spaces the other night. It was wild. But either way, I said I would not leave until you were on screen. We talk a little bit of baseball. So I kept my promise. I was just messing with you. It's all good.
All right, I'm still waiting for the invite till Mets do his part, but
it's coming. Don't you worry. It's coming.
I'm not that famous yet, so it's okay. I'm sorry.
Stop it.
I'm sorry. Yo, CP, Amish, I appreciate this, man. Love you guys, man. This show is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, go make sure you subscribe to Mets Trucker Podcast. The link is going to be in the description down below as we, have our conversation. I'm going to throw it up here on the big screen as well. Make sure you go subscribe. Newly Stood Up Mets Podcast. I know we have Ibby only for another minute. I know we're sort of extending this time, and I do apologize. I'll get through You're good? You're good?
Yeah,
Are
it's
we
okay.
good?
I'll stay for a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah, stay for a little bit.
Okay, we got a couple of buy or sell segments here that I want to run through here. I want to give Tone the limelight, man. You deserve it. You do some great content, Tone. Make sure you go subscribe to Tone's podcast, Mets Trucker Podcast on YouTube. Go type it in. Go to the description down below and subscribe. Get him to his
Love it.
first 50 subscribers on YouTube. Only way up from here. And you're the
Soon
man,
be
dude. I
dropping
appreciate you taking this
Indiana
time. I know you've been
Pacers
wanting to come up here with us, and it's great, man.
Yeah, man.
I can't wait for the Pacers content and the WWE reviews.
You better watch Nelson. He'll choke you. You better watch out. You never know.
Listen. Mets, Pacers, and Bills. I'm the weirdest guy there is out there, so it is what it is. But also, look, getting Nelson to smile, I get Ibby to laugh every chat. CP, I got to get you next. I'm a good time, and you guys are a good time, so we're gonna make this one a good time. But on the real, shout out to Amish Country Mets fans, CPNY Sports, Interstate Mets Report, Till Mets Do Us Part, Ibby. And his partner John, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. If you come to my channel, Mets Trucker Podcast, I put out realistic spins, but I put it out with a positive spin. You know what I mean? I see some negatives with this roster, but at the same time, I see baseball's a game of hope. Baseball is a game of love. You know what I mean? And if you don't have any hope going into a season, what's the point of even watching the sport? You know what I mean? If you don't have any love for this sport, what's the point of even paying attention to the Mets? You know, I had 20-game season tickets. You guys have the everybody goes to games and all that good stuff. Like, I just want to say, like, I saw some of the comments, and I was reading through some of it where it was like, oh, we lost the DH today. Jorge Soler, out of 2 years in his career. I'm like, I don't even know where I'm at. 2 years in a career.
Sure.
He only hit more than 30 home runs. You know what I mean? And that was one of them was in the Juice Bowl year, was when Pete had the 53 home runs, and Chappie, my boy Chappie, had about 30-something home runs that year. But that was the Juice Bowl year. You know what I mean? And that's stupid. But reality is that Nelson got me. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, Soler wasn't a 3-year option for this team. You know what I mean? I feel like Soler, if you would have said 1 year, prove it type of deal, sure, I got it. If I'm going to give a 3-year deal to anybody who was available, it would have been Teoscar Hernandez. That would have been my 3-year deal. But even Teoscar strikes out a lot, but you get the high upside as far as him still being able to play outfield somewhat, and him being able to hit home runs and all that good stuff. And he's proven he's a consistent home run hitter. You know what I mean? So don't fret. Everything's going to be good. And I say this every time I speak. Last year, this team had 75 wins. There was 19 blown saves. Whatever you consider a blown save, it is described as a team giving up a lead, however you say, because I know I had some people come to me and say, oh, we had blown saves are described in different ways and depending on the inning, whatever the case may be. Edwin Diaz is back. So if you're telling me out of 19, we essentially have the same core. We have the same offensive core that we had last year. So if and think about it, for the second half, we had Rafael Ortega and Jonathan Arauz playing for most of that time. You know what I mean? So we have a better team than what we had going into the second half, and the second half was kind of better than the first half. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me we can't get 10 more saves or 10 more bullpen holds out of that? It's an 85-win team in my opinion, and until I'm proven wrong, that's what I'm sticking by.
And an 85-win team, sorry to be an 85-win team obviously does play when it comes to the wild card, because everyone thinks the NL is this loaded place. It's like it's very top heavy. It's a very top heavy side in comparison to the AL. I don't think there's as many good teams as people think there are. So I think the Mets could be right in the mix. Absolutely.
And just to go on the 85. So I just want to let everybody know. So the year before the third NL wild card team was implemented, the third NL wild card would have been an 83-win team. It would, I think it was this. I forgot who it was, but it would have been an 83-win team that would have gotten us a third wild card. The year after that, which is when it first started, which was the Phillies, I believe, got in with 87 wins. Last year, it was 2 84-win teams. So if you're telling me that the third wild card spot isn't obtainable, it's telling me that you haven't watched baseball lately. That's all I'm gonna say. We got it.
That's a lot of people, Tone. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that actually perfectly transitions us to our next segment, the buy or sell segment, because I had a slide up describing what you all were just talking about. By the way, though, Chris is saying El Tone. We got Tone in the building. Good to get you up here, man. Like I said, we got Armand saying that he's already subscribed to your channel. He went over there and subbed. There we go. We appreciate you, Armand. This is what it's all about. We appreciate you. Getting into our next segment, buy or sell. We're going to breeze through these. We have a 4-man panel. It gets a little hectic, but we're going to breeze through these. We'll go from Tone all the way down, and we'll give our opinions. I'll go last. Nelson, you can go third, and then Tone, Ibby, we'll go through that. We'll go with that order.
Gotcha.
Wins. You be either buying it because you agree with it, or you're selling it because you don't agree with it. And we're just going to breeze through these. Mets will win over 83 games. Tone, I know what you're going to say, but are you buying or selling?
I'm gonna buy that one for sure.
Definitely. Ibby.
I'm gonna buy it. I am. I was the other day. I was between. I was like 80 wins. I need to do a little bit more deep diving. Did a little bit more. 84. I'm buying.
Nelson, what you got?
I was sitting around 82 before we added Beekman, and like Ibby, the more I look at it, I can buy that. I can buy 84, 85 wins. Let's go with it. Let's be positive going into the spring.
Yeah. And that's what I'm going to buy too here with these Pacoda projections, having the Mets at 84 wins exactly and being that last wild card team in the playoffs. I'm definitely buying that. Next one up. Joey Lucchesi will open up as the 6th starter in 2024. This is something that we saw in David Stern's presser, basically alluding to the fact that Kodai Senga, we don't know when, whether it's going to be to open up the season or maybe midway or toward the latter half, is going to get that continued extended rest in year 2. Now, if that's alluding to the 6-man rotation, you have a couple of names, and not pictured is Jose Butto. Are you buying or selling on Joey Lucchesi being that third lefty for that 6-man in the rotation? Tone.
I'm just reading a comment. Carson McGill, my ace. That's what's up. But anyway, let me get off the comments because you guys got me cracking up. But anyway,
Not easy, is it? It's not easy.
Maybe I still love getting you going, man. Still love getting you going. But anyway, I would definitely say that buy or sell Lucchesi. So I did a 26-man projection, and I did have Lucchesi as my 6-man. So I'm gonna buy it to start. But I think Butto is right on his heels as a Trevor Williams type guy. So
I was pumping up Butto last year, so I'm with you, Tone, on that. I wanted to see more. I thought he would have been a little more successful last year. I hope it can translate and be better this year. But I'm with you. I'm buying Lucchesi as the 6th guy right now at the start. I think it's proper. Come on, Keith, you're killing me. I would say that Lucchesi will open as the 6th star. I think it makes sense. And again, shout out to Joey Lucchesi because in my opinion, he still pitched the best game last year when it came to what we watched from starters that the Mets rolled out last year. He still had one incredible game that, in a season that didn't have much to it, Joey Lucchesi provided. So I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna say Lucchesi opens the season as a 6th starter.
Nelson.
The Grinch is here. I'm selling. I'm not a Lucchesi. I don't honestly. I don't like any of these options. McGill, I wish he would get sent to the moon. Lucchesi, I don't love. Give me a Mike Vassell from the clouds, or a Jose Butto, or what's that guy that we signed from the Pirates? Kranick?
Yeah, Max.
But
Kranick.
it's to open though, like day one.
That's fine.
And Kranick's hurt, right? Kranick just got hurt.
No, that was Crick.
No, it was Crick. That was Crick.
Either way, I'm Lucchesi's not my guy. I don't like him that much. I don't think he's that good. He's not my 6th guy. McGill, I hope, is not my 6th guy, but he's probably going to be. But I'd rather see new blood. Throw me somebody else that I haven't seen already stink up the joint. Give me some fresh blood. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think eventually, midway through, I think we'll see if they continue going with the 6 starter. We'll see a Vassell, maybe even a Christian Scott. I think Vassell is going to be the first one in line there. But to
Agreed.
start off with the way Joey Lucchesi ended last season, I'm comfortable with throwing him in there. I'm going to buy that as the six starter. What's up, Tone?
Real quick, I just want to say, like I said, this is to start the season, open up.
Yes.
So I did go to the David Stearns Q&A. That was, I don't know how I got invited out all the other season ticket holders, but I did. And like I said, he mentioned Hamill, Scott, and Vassell, and I think we're gonna have to wait till either an injury or till midseason, or whether till we see McGill, Lucchesi, and Budo falter for these guys to come up. But I think they're gonna get that chance in AAA to start off strong first, and then that's when we'll see him. So that's why I say, in this specific thing, to open up, you have to go with what you know, and what you know right now is Lucchesi. So.
I know Budo too.
We got 3 more quick ones. Moving along here, Ibby. We apologize. We know we're keeping you extra, but we got to get this great content out of the way here.
It's okay.
Next one here, Mark Vientos, over or under, buy or sell? Is he going to go over 35 games started at third base? This is probably, honestly, this could be your last one, Ibby. I'm not sure how much time you have, but you could have like an hour-long conversation about this alone. And I'm sorry to do it to you. I had to prop it up there. If you want to give your answer first, we have a couple more, but you can slide out here, whatever you want. Up to you. Over under 35 games, buying or selling for Vientos at third base, starting.
Look, we can talk all we want about working with Francisco Lindor. You know, we watched Brett Beatty work with Troy Tulowitzki last year during the offseason, and we saw what Beatty put out in terms of defense. I did laugh at that as well. As a good one, Ant. I did, it's one thing to go out there and work. It's great that you're doing that. You want to get better. It shows that you want to better yourself at your craft. Working with Francisco Lindor, the best in the game. Always a good thing. I can't buy this. I can't. I'm going to sell this one. And I've been saying on our show Until Mets that I felt that Brett Beatty is going to be the third baseman and given the most rope. What he chooses to do with that rope is going to be up to him. And I think that between the two options, I think Beatty is the better defender. And I still think that defense is going to reign supreme here. I think Vientos is going to find his home as a DH. I think he can provide that power. I think he showed that in the second half. I think it's where he belongs. I can't buy 35 games at third base. I just can't. I have to sell it.
I'm selling it as well. I know everyone in the chat's selling it, and I know one person that's not going to sell this, and it is Mr. Tone. What you got for us, Tone?
Do you guys see me and hear me? Because my screen is frozen.
You're a little frozen.
You're frozen, but we can hear you. Yeah, you're good.
All right, so I'm just gonna talk for now. So I have one thing to say, and I kind of had this argument earlier with a buddy of mine, is that what you saw Vientos doing this whole off season was working with Lindor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know everybody works, I know everybody trains, I know everybody, but I'm gonna liken it something that Mets fans know. Sean Manaea was never threw over 93 for his whole entire life. He went to driveline baseball, and then all of a sudden started throwing 97, throwing sweepers and all this good stuff, right? So from there, you know, when you want from there, if you talk about Vientos is working with one of the best shortstops in the game on his defense. And I think there's something to behold there. And yes, Beatty will get the first crack at third base. I agree. But I do think the moment that Beatty has an issue or he seems like he can't adjust and shows that he's still a quadruple A player, Vientos is going to get that shot. But I do think that in the spring training, Vientos will show what he's worth. And I'm gonna buy over 35 games. And dare I say, he might get the lion's share of games at third base.
There you go. Nelson, what you got?
I am the Grinch of this stream. I am on 3 hours of sleep. I'm cranky. Sell. If Mark Vientos starts over 35 games at third base, we are screwed. You can bookmark that. You can record this. You can do whatever you want with it. If Mark Vientos starts over 35 games at third base, the New York Mets are going to be trash basura. I'll say it in Spanish and English for whoever needs both. How many times do we have to see these? Every offseason we see it. Every spring we see it. This guy's in the best shape of his life. This guy's been working on this, that, and the other. He's done so much to improve his game. And then what happens? They actually play the games, and guess what? They still suck. It's just
True.
can't turn shit into rainbows. It can't happen. I'm not saying this guy doesn't have he can't have a decent bat, but he has never proven to be capable as a defender.
Yep.
He just hasn't. I don't care how many times he gets out there with Francisco Lindor. It just doesn't. Like,
yeah,
I
think
I respect him for trying, but I don't see this happening at all.
I think the follow-up to that would really be if Vientos. I really, it comes down to if Vientos is playing third base, that's telling me that Beatty's just not working in general.
Yes.
So then who's your DH? That's why that's kind of where I'm at where it comes to him starting at third as opposed to just being the DH, because then we're saying, we're curious on who the DH is going to be, and you're banking on Mark Vientos. Like you think this guy can hit 20 plus home runs, so that's going to be your DH because people think he's a little bit of a butcher in the field. If he's starting more than 35 games, that's telling me that Beatty's not working out, and that means we really do have an issue with this team in general because we're not going to be finding that offense DH, because I don't think you can really put a lot of stock in someone like DJ Stewart as an example. So that's one of the main reasons also why I'm not buying the 35 games, is because I think he's going to find a home as the DH on a consistent basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can DH for me all day long. I just don't want to see him play anywhere in the field, to be honest. I just got to be real. Hide his glove. Hide it. Put it somewhere where he can't find it. Let him swing the bat. Focus on swinging the bat.
Did you see his little board today, though? When he went to spring training, they gave all the players the board. They asked him what his position is, and he said third base.
Good for you.
And then And then in relation to that, they were also asked which teammate they are the most looking forward to seeing, and he said Brett Beatty. So I'm not sure if that's just
BB 22.
Yeah.
Hey, let's not forget, Pete Alonso and Dom Smith are best friends too.
True. That is true.
Yeah.
Sure. Next one. I think we got Tone dropping out. I think he froze up on us, so we'll see if we get him back. But we got a couple more here to go through before we get him back and sort of continue on. But let's see. Next one. Francisco Alvarez hits over 25 home runs in 2024. He's projected at 25 via Fangraphs in 2024. That's exactly the number that he hit in 2023 in his rookie campaign. What are you all projecting power-wise in the home runs number, Ibby?
25 is like right on the nose, obviously. I would say that I'll buy the over. I think he can hit over 25 if he hits 26, 27. I'm not going to go as high as like some people want to go in terms of being a little bit too overzealous and say he can hit 30, 35, but I'll buy it that he can go over. I do think that he does have the potential to be a 30-plus home run type of bat from the catcher, which is, not seen that often, but I'm not going to put that on him on year 2. But I do think he can go over 20. I do think he can go over 25. So if he ends up getting like 26, 27, obviously that's a check in the win column there. So I'll buy it. I think he hit over.
Yeah. Nelson, what you got?
Bringing me back with a little positivity here. Smash, buy.
Boom. I love it.
Good stuff.
I won't say he'll hit like you. I won't say he'll hit 30, but he can definitely go 26 to 29, that range. I like it. Buy it all day.
What you got, Tone? 25 plus home runs for Alvarez, or is he not hitting that marker?
My bad for the difficulties. I heard slander on Vientos and the Mets being trash if Vientos starts, and I just want to Vietnamese or however you say it. I started breaking things because it just put me in such a rage. But I got Alvarez. I got him with 30. I'm gonna take the over.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm buying him too. I think Ant was actually in line of what you're thinking, and not quite 30, Ibby, but somewhere right there in the middle of 26 to 28. I think the power numbers are going to go up. If you look at the Fangraphs projections for Alvarez, everything's going up for him. The average is hard not to go up from 209, but that OPS going from 721 all the way up to what they're projected him at 775. This is just projections at the end of the day, but it's nice to see the algorithms, I guess, working in his favor. So we'll
Can I
see what
jump in
happens there with
real
Mr.
quick? I want
Alvarez.
to say one thing.
Sure.
You know what I'll buy over Mark Vientos 35 games at third base? I'll buy Matt Chapman as the New York Mets third baseman.
Oh my
over
God.
Mark Vientos 35 games.
Yo, you might hold on. No, I'm sorry because we're about to take this shit off the rails. So, first of all, Chappie's my boy. All right, don't throw Chappie in my face because that's my boy. 5
That's
Gold
your
Gloves, you
boy.
heard? But that's my boy. But he's not coming here, so I have to accept that. So I have to go with the options that I have left. So I see Mark Vientos as a better version than Wilmer Flores. That's how I see him projecting, right? And so Wilmer Flores is kind of taking off a little bit with San Francisco. He's a mainstay in that lineup. Granted, he's playing a little all over. I'm not sure, but thank you, Ant. They just everybody's killed my dream with Chapman. It's insane. I don't even know what's going on anymore in the world. Like I wanted world peace and Matt Chapman, and none of that's happening. So it is what it is. But with that said, Mark Vientos. Look, if you're telling me that it's either Mark Vientos or Brett Beatty, they both have flaws in their game. So if you're saying, oh, Mark Vientos, if he plays, we're in trouble, I could say the same for Brett Beatty for what he showed last year. So
Sure.
you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it is what it is. And I think you have to if you give Vientos more consistent at bats, he'll have more pop in his bat. Right? Well, his glove might not be the greatest in the world, but we're at a standstill at this point at third base.
He can have all the DH at bats he wants. I just don't want to give him a glove.
I think with Lindor, he'll be improved.
In the dirt and bury it for the whole season. Just don't wear a glove.
Go ahead.
We're going on to the next topic. We can sit here all day. I heard the exchange on Twitter Spaces earlier today about Vientos, and this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the Vientos conversation that we're going to be having this season. So we'll leave that for there. There you go. That's what you need when discussing Vientos. There we go. This is a good one. The Mets make another move before spring training starts. Are you buying or are you selling it? Someone asked in the chat, I forgot to start, and it's all the way up there, saying, could the Mets use another solid bullpen arm or a starting arm? I don't think we're getting any sort of pitchers anymore, like on either front. But I think it's probably a DH. We were talking about Eddie Rosario, Brandon Belt earlier. If you wanted to bring in that lefty DH, JD Martinez, obviously with the sort of Boras leak and the New York Post guys. Are we buying that the Mets are making any sort of, I should have said major move here because obviously they can go out and sign a Ben Gamble 2.0, but I'm talking about maybe a major move here. Are you buying or selling? Tone, starting with you.
I'm going. I feel like Stearns want to see what he has, so I'm going to sell on this one.
Yep. Maybe.
I'm gonna agree with that. I think Ant put it best in the chat right there, saying that we're done. It's time to get to work, and I agree with that. I think that this is what they want. If you were going to see something happen, I think it would have happened by now. I think that they have the guys in camp. They want to see what they have, and again, allow the youth to play and find out what you have, and then assess, and then attack the deadline. Are things still possible because there are people still out there? Of course. But to answer the question at hand, I'm going to say that no, there will not be another move made. So I'm going to sell it.
Yeah, I'm selling too. What you got, Nelson?
I'm glad you clarified because at first when it was just any move, I was going to say, yeah, sure, they could sign any old bum off the street.
Major move, yeah.
It happens all the time. But if a major move is what we're talking, it's sell. We're riding with what we got. God help us with Mark Vientos at third base.
Oh my goodness. It always comes back to Mr. Vientos, and we got some people supporting the Matt Chapman vibe in the chat here with Carson and Aaron from That's My Sport. So we got some supporters of you, Tone, here in your rhetoric. But Ibby, I'm doing a time check with you because this is what we have for buy or sell. We have a couple more conversations to have. How are you looking on time? Do you got to get out of here? You want to stick around with us? It's completely up to you. I don't want to disrupt any night that you have going on here. I don't know what you got, but it's up to you.
I will stay for 2 more. I will stay for 2 more.
Good.
I'll give you 2 more. Yeah.
He's doing it for Tone. Tone.
I'll do 2. And I'll do it for Tone.
Okay, good.
2 for Tone.
I still want the invite, Ibby. You're gonna
get it.
Okay. I'm good.
I like it. I want to respect your time, but if you want to stay, absolutely, let's do it. I love this panel. This is a great panel. Great insight, great perspective. Differing perspectives, I should say. Next one we got up here. Okay, this was my 2.0 in case we had Tone on here. I was going to up the ante here with Mark Vientos again, saying 45 just strictly for you, Tone.
What the hell are you doing?
Over 45?
Why?
All right.
Move on. Next.
Mi gente. 65 games.
Wait, I can do this myself.
You know, he's only projected to play 81 games right now if he's platooning in 100 max if he's not.
Move. Next.
All right, here's a little bit more of a realistic conversation surrounding maybe the pitching aspect here and Luis Severino's numbers and what he's projected. Are you buying or selling the over, or I guess you say under, because we don't want this to go over that ERA. We're saying under the ERA. You know what I mean? Are you buying or selling these numbers on Luis Severino? This is great. For me, if we get this, this is awesome. I'm not even expecting this. So this is a difficult decision for me. But if he's fully healthy, ready to go, I'm just going to start off and say I'm buying this, especially that ERA. I just told you all that Luis Severino has the potential to be the best Mets addition of this entire offseason. I understand that it's been a lackluster offseason nonetheless, but you understand what I'm saying. The potential is there in the prime of his career, 31 years old. He's playing on a 1-year deal, which a lot of people are discounting of all these short-term contracts. These guys are automatically in their contract years. So by default, you would hope that that characteristic allows them to play up with motivation. Ibby, I'm going to start with you here. Are you buying or selling these numbers?
I'm gonna say that he can pitch better to this. So yeah, I'm buying this because, again, we've had conversations with people on our show and, in private conversations with people within the game who all agree that Severino was tipping his pitches and that it's fixable and that they feel that he still is a special type of arm. So I look at this and I go 7-9, 137, 453, 129. Like, I think he can reach this. And I think that, wins and losses or whatever, but I think he can pitch better to a 7-9 record. I do. That's how I feel. But if he goes out there and gives us 137 innings, when I was just talking about before about how this team desperately needs innings from its starters, if he goes out and gives us 137, I'll take that. And the 4.53, look, coming off of what he was last year, that's obviously a huge improvement, but I think it could be a little bit lower. But if he's in the 4s, I'll take that. 129 strikeouts. I'll buy this. I think he can do a little bit better. I will.
Oh, what you got for us?
Real quick, I just want to say that this offseason has been pretty decent. But I know that's not the question, but I just want to throw it out there. But I honestly, I would love to see these numbers. I'd be happy with him as a fifth guy. But I do feel like the game started aspect until proven otherwise, I have to sell on that point.
Okay.
I do have to sell. And as you know, I'm Mr. Positive, but I do think that Severino spot will be by committee at some point in time in this season. So I'm gonna have to sell on this one.
Okay. What you got, Nelson?
This is a tough one because there's aspects of this I buy and there's aspects of it I sell.
Yeah.
I can certainly see him starting less games than that. I feel like his ERA might not be that bad. I think he can do lower 4s. Innings pitched, again, health. I don't know. It's tough. I'll go by. I'll be positive on this one because I've been hating on this team enough today. And I don't even hate on this. I feel good about this team. It's just specific guys I just don't love. Yeah, I'll buy it. I'll buy he can do better than this.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm buying too. Like I said, I'm very high on him. I think that if we get anything here of this nature from Luis Severino, then I'm taking it all day.
Yeah.
I'm not you know what I mean? Like it's 4.5 ERA. First of all, 4.5 ERA with what we've seen from him before is I don't think that's not a tall task for him. So I'm buying this all day long. Trivia question. That's enough of the buy sell. We got a trivia question to round things out, and then we will get out of here. This is a little fun. We haven't done trivia on here before. Honestly, I'm not even sure how well of a known fact this is, to be honest with you. I don't really know anything about the 1970s Mets. To be honest with you, that's way before my time, but we'll have a little bit of fun with it. We'll see if anyone can get this right. Question for the panel and for the chat. If anyone knows, make sure you drop those comments. If you know the answer, let me know. Don't Google it. Please don't Google it. The 1972 Mets were the first modern era team not to have any player on the roster do what?
Double play.
It's pretty niche. I will say it's pretty niche. It's pretty specific. So it does get I'll say it has to do with offense.
Ground until double play. I'm going with that.
I'm gonna say first modern era team to not do what thinking back then, this is probably wrong because they probably did a lot, but I'll say the first team to not bunt. They didn't bunt. First ever team.
I'm gonna say hit a grand slam. I have no idea.
Okay. It's a little bit more niche than those, but those are good guesses. I'll say those are good guesses. And people in the chat are saying play 9 innings and saying play 9 innings. Armand's saying to not make the all-star team. It is offensive, so Sabres dude, it is not anything to do with pitching if you want to revise your sort of guess. Oh, the number 100. You're onto something, Jeremy. There's a number 100 in the answer. If you guys want to revise your answers, there's a number 100 in the answer.
100 RBIs. 100 RBIs.
Not quite, but you're getting warmer.
Damn it. Oh, my God.
You're getting warmer.
100.
I'll leave it up here for another minute.
100.
Yeah, 100.
100 singles?
I don't know.
100 singles. I don't know.
Just give us a damn
you're
answer.
on to Tone's essentially got it. Tone essentially got it.
Okay.
They did not have a single player with 100+ hits. The closest was Mr. Tommy Agee at 96.
Agee.
Tommy Agee at 96. And that was
Is it
because
a G or
apparently
Agee?
there was a owner's buyout or an owner's lockout that shortened the season there. So
that's a trick question.
It was a trick question. Like I said, I thought it'd be fun.
Yeah, it's still fun regardless. I like it.
On a little bit of a higher note. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to chat for participating. There we go. 100 hits and got it. Absolutely.
Ask me 1990s Mets and I won't get it wrong. I promise you.
1990. Okay, we're coming back. I think we should do more trivia on here. I like trivia. We're gonna come up with some more trivia on the Interstate Mets Report. That's what we're gonna do. Listen, do you all have anything on the panel that you all want to talk about still? With anything that we've gone over today, we can sit here, talk a little bit. Up to you all. I know, AB, you were gracious enough to stay the whole stream with us. I love it.
That's because I like Tone. That's what it is. It's because of Tone. That's what it is.
Oh, my God, my heart. Oh, what just happened? Oh, my God.
This is the quadruple Mets talk you never knew that you needed.
No, nonsense, Nelson. I had a fan. No, if there's one thing I will say, obviously, I don't have anything in terms of the Mets. I do want to just say I'm very thankful for being on the show. Whenever I get invited on the shows, it's always it always feels good. It shows that there is growth within the community within our show, and that people are being a lot more accepting than even when we started about, whether you want to call it sharing the limelight or whatever, just being able and allowing each other to work with each other. Because again, the ultimate thing that we all want as Mets fans, and what I wanted to try and help be a part of, is build a space that we never had, because we were always and continue to be viewed as the jester of New York, the joke of New York, because whenever you listen to anything on The Fan, on ESPN, or wherever, it's always the negative. But if we, as Mets fans, as content creators, continue to speak our truth about our team, it allows other Mets fans, like the great people here in this chat, in our chat, in Tone's chat, in everyone's chats, to have some place to go to talk about the team that they love. That's what it's all about. So again, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Tone, you look even better in person. Nelson, you look fantastic as well. CP, you look great.
Not as good as me though.
But and again, Nelson, loved your bluntness today. CP did a great job moderating and handling the entire thing. And overall, thank you. And of course, LGM.
Of course. Tone, what you got for us?
Real quick before I go on my little mini thing, because you guys had all the limelight, so figure why not. But on February 21st at 8 p.m., I'm trying to figure out who's going to host this, but it was kind of like the idea to have a Latin hour from the Mets community. So it would be me, Amish Country Mets fan, Subway to Shea, and the brothers from Shea and Sons. And what it is giving Latinos like us opportunity to be on a platform and to have the limelight, because we don't have enough limelight on us, and it's harder for us to take off. And I'm not saying that to spark any type of debate or anything, but unfortunately, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Because granted, while CPNY Till Mets Do Us Part does great things, and all these other podcasts, if you ever see the content that Amish puts out, you ever see the content that Shea and Sons puts out, and Subway to Shea is over here on freaking SNY. You know what I mean? He should have way more subscribers than what he has, and I think, being that he doesn't have that amount of subscribers, this Latin now is important to me, as a person, a Puerto Rican, New Yorican, as we call them. It's important to me because we need more. We want to show that more, because we have a lot of great things in this Mets community, and we want to show that off. But with that said, I also want to say that I understand with the lackluster comment as far as like the Mets having a lackluster season. Los Mets, oíste, Los Mets, I see you. No, but with the lackluster Mets off season that's been said, and with the comments that I've been reading and all that, I just want to say, it was said on MLB Network once, but I'll reiterate it. If this wasn't the Mets, this would be one of the better off seasons out of all of the teams. But unfortunately, because the name Mets is across the chest and Steve Cohen is the owner, we're expecting everything in the world to come here. He already spent $400 million on his team, and it didn't work. As it was said that Billy Epler just kind of threw shit against the wall by spending money, and it didn't work because he got the best names that he could, and it didn't work. You know what I mean? So have the faith and be good with it, man. Like, yes, I'm the first one to say the biggest flaw in this offseason is that we didn't sign a DH. We didn't sign somebody to protect Pete Alonso, because I feel like that's the most important part of this. But if you look at the trade for Adrian House is very, very, very a consistent pitcher. And if you see his numbers and what he puts up, his average best years were about like a 3.7, 3.8 ERA. That's kind of the norm in this new MLB that we're entering with these rule changes. You know what I mean? Luis Severino, has an upside. Sean Manaea was the best second half pitcher once he went to Driveline. Best second half pitcher out of anybody. With about a 3 ERA, added 5 miles per hour on his fastball with a sweeper. And then if we want to talk about bullpen, I could go days on this bullpen and volatility and how good this bullpen is, but I'm gonna spare you guys. But there's a lot to like about what's happened. Yes, there are holes on this team, but there are holes on a lot of team. But we saw with the Arizona Diamondbacks, there was so many holes on that team. They didn't even have a starting pitching. Who was it? Mike Fatt, I think it was. Who was this? Like, he got sent down at one point for having over a 6 ERA. Right. You know what I mean? It just goes to show you. And the Texas Rangers were left for dead until they weren't. They started off hot, then they just like went all the way down, and then just started. They held their run in the playoffs and went toe to toe with the Astros. But what I'm trying to say here is, although that I understand that we want to see that. We don't see a big name that got signed. But what Stearns has done is he's built a team. He's built a team. He's built a vision. And I can guarantee you, if the Mets are within five to 7 games of first place by trade deadline, they're gonna make first place of the NL East. They're gonna make whatever trade they need to make. Stearns just needs to see what's gonna happen, but maintain the positivity. I know we want to take the WFAN route, and we want to take these radical routes and all these things, but it's been a good offseason, and I can guarantee you this is going to be one of the better bullpens that we've seen in a long time. Volatility is real in a bullpen, but this with the pitching lab and what the pitching lab has shown last year between McGill in the second half, Phil Bickford in the second half, Jose Budo in the second half, we're going to be good, mi gente. We are going to be good. And I'm telling you, 85 wins. 85 wins. If you want to give me a win less, 84. I even say 83, whatever, to make you negative Nellies a little bit, but we'll still get that third wild card is there. Yep. It's how much higher we'll get than the third wild card, but this is a playoff team, guaranteed.
Absolutely. Great points. Nelson, you got anything to add on to that?
Yeah, a couple things. Thank you so much to Ivy and Tone for coming on. Appreciate you guys. You guys are great. I very much look forward to that little Latin stream we got going on next week. We got to represent for the people, even though most people don't know I'm Puerto Rican. Though people don't assume I'm just a white boy in Amish country. I am not. I'm New Yorican as well. So got to represent for the Latin people. And next, I want to apologize a little bit for going off the rails a little bit. I am working on No Sleep and Interstate Mets After Dark. I got a rep to hold up. I tend to go unhinged on these anyways. If you watch the one with me and Sunny Days in Flushing, that thing was ridiculous.
That was a fantastic episode. I love that.
I'm almost glad I was on vacation.
That was one of my favorites. So yeah, I like to get a little crazy once the sun goes down. It was fun to do this. And I agree with Tone, man. I know I sounded a little negative at times, but I really do love what the Mets did this offseason. And I like Mark Vientos. Don't get me wrong. I'm fine with him getting DH at bats. Let the kid cook with the bat. Love it. Let him have his opportunity. I'm excited to see what other kids can come up and do at some point in the offseason, whether from the minors or kids that we already have up. I do think this team can make noise. I'm not going to go crazy and guarantee a playoff spot, but I think it's a very real possibility. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the season brings. Excited that David Stearns, like Ivy said earlier, has a plan, and we can see that plan. And he's right. We can't grade him on just one off season. Got to give it time to develop. Got to see what happens throughout this year. Got to see what happens next off season even. And then we can start to give him a grade or what have you. But for now, I think he's doing a fine job. Like where we're going. It was great. Happy to have everybody in the comments. I apologize for banning a certain somebody, but I was in a mood.
I did laugh.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
But yeah, great show. Thanks, CP, as always, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, and as far as me, I don't really have anything else to say from a baseball perspective. Great conversation, great discourse as always. Always checking out all of your guys' individual podcasts and tweets and all that good stuff, and everybody in the chat as well. I mean, if I had to shout out everybody, I usually do every single body that comments in our streams, but if I had to do that tonight, it would be on a different level of sort of just going up and down the list. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Keep rocking with us. It is going to be a great season. I think that a lot of people are undercutting this team, just like these gentlemen are saying. I think that this is definitely going to be a playoff team. Like I said, I say that this offseason has been underwhelming in terms of the big wow you moves, but this team has gotten better on multiple fronts, and I am not going to be naive to that fact, and I've been stressing that through and through, whether it's on here or the True Mets Talk podcast. That is absolutely a fact, and David Stearns has done a great job in this reset year Absolutely. So keep rocking with us. This is the latest episode of the Interstate Mets Report. Looking to have a lot more content creators. We had Keith on here before. We had Ant on here before from the Subway to Shade podcast. Now we have you, gentlemen. We are looking to go and get as many people that do Mets content. If you want to be a guest, if you're tuning into this, hit us up. It's easy to make backgrounds. I do it all day long. It's my passion. I love doing it. You all hit me up. Let me know what's good. If the time works, we'll do it. We'll prop you up here. We want to get as much perspective, not only from us. We can sit here till we're blue in the face and give you our takes like we've been doing all season long, all off season long, but we want to get everybody's perspective in here on the Interstate Mets Report. So I appreciate it. As always, the important stuff, subscribe to Baseball Tones Podcast at Mets Trucker Podcast on YouTube. Links, everybody's links are going to be in the description down below. If you don't subscribe to one of us and you subscribe to the rest, make sure you make it 4 for 4. Make it 4 for 4 for us. Subscribe to at Till Mets Do Us Part on YouTube as well. They got some great stuff going on. Check them out live tomorrow at their regular time, I believe. Ibby, is that correct?
Regular time, 5:30 tomorrow on YouTube and Twitter. You'll see us, 5:30.
Boom. We'll be there. Make sure you go subscribe to them. Hit the thumbs up button on the stream. Comment if you're catching the rerun. If you didn't get a chance to watch it live, comment your thoughts and opinions. Subscribe. And you know where we're at on X at Interstate Mets is Nelson and I's joined account. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you all so much. You'll be hearing more from us. TBD on a Friday stream. I think we could make it happen, but we'll see. Nelson will talk offline. Stay tuned for that. And with that being said, this is your boy CP, Nelson, Tone, Ibby. Let's go Mets. Baseball season is back, baby.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Oh.
Thank you for watching the Interstate Mets Report. Streaming Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to at Amish Country Mets